Hey everybody, it's Mitch again from the Istio project. Last time we were together, we showed how you could use the power of Istio to mitigate a partial outage in your service mesh. We found that one of our services was behaving badly, taking way too long on requests, and so we set some timeout and retry policies on that service in order to keep our users from experiencing too much of the pain that was going on. The underlying problem of our service taking too long was still happening, but our users weren't experiencing it because we were routing around it using Istio. Well, now it's been a few weeks and the developers have had time to identify the cause of the latency, and they've got me a new version of our ratings app to deploy, and we're going to check it out and see if this solves our latency problem. But as we do, I'm a little bit worried. I'm not sure what sort of tests that they ran on this particular service. So what I want to do is I want to deploy it, first of all, with no traffic at all. Then we're going to mirror some of our traffic to the service and see how it does. What mirroring means is that users, again, are not going to see any of the results of that service. It's going to duplicate all the traffic that's going to the real rating service, and it's going to run it through the secondary without sending it back to the user. That way we'll get to see how this app performs without risking any of our user traffic. Let's get started. As you might recall, we had a number of services running in our namespace, and the Ratings V1 service was particularly what's been misbehaving. So we're going to go ahead and work at fixing that. Now, the Ratings V1 service has the label V1, and so the first thing that I need to do is create a destination rule that maps to V1. We want to make sure that once we create this second copy of the service, none of our traffic routes to it. So this simply says the subset named V1 has the label version V1. We'll give a little EOF there. All right, that looks good. And now that we've done that, we can go ahead and create our virtual service. Or sorry, edit our virtual service because it's already been created. Okay, let's come down to the end here. And right underneath host, we want to say subset, subset is V1. All right, now we're done telling our service mesh only to route traffic to V1, which means we can safely create the V2 subset. We can come over here to check in on our app and make sure that it's still running all along. Yep, things look good. It's not taking 10 seconds to respond, so our timeouts and retry policy from the last episode are still working. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull in my new version of the app. A couple things to notice on this new version. We've got this label, version V2. It's using a new version of the ratings service, but everything else is the same as it has been so far in our application. So we've got that up. And again, we should not see any change here because no traffic is routing to this service. So just like before, we've got the reviews and ratings are coming in a fairly reasonable time. As we can see, this hasn't caused any changes in our application. We're still seeing it respond in about a second every time. So now we can go ahead and come on back to here and we've safely deployed our V2 deployment. Now we need to name a subset. So let's go ahead and get back into that destination rule we created earlier. By the way, you can follow along in the link in the notes here with all of these. There's a little gist that you can use. We're going to come down to the bottom of this and we're going to add a new subset. All right, so Istio is now aware of the V2 subset for this service. However, what we haven't done is told it what sort of traffic it ought to send to the service. So let's go ahead and do that now. Here's our virtual service. All right, so we're now telling our service to mirror 100% of our traffic to the rating service, to the V2 service. So V1 will be serving our users, but V2 will get copies of all traffic for us to watch the telemetry on. All right, our virtual service has been edited. Now we can go ahead and open up the Grafana dashboard to see how we've done. We're going to look at our Istio service dashboard for the rating service. And it can be a little bit noisy to look at these charts here, so I'm going to go ahead and modify our service workload to be only V2. Let's see what we get down here as that updates. Now I'm going to navigate here to the service workloads section of my service. We've got ratings and ratings V2. And we can see that indeed our developers did solve the latency problem. Our P99 latency is now looking at about 5 milliseconds. So that's looking really, really good. But I do see some signs for concern here. Looking over at our success rate for the service, we're hovering at around 50%. That means half of our requests are failing. If I go ahead and clear the filter for ratings V2 and look at all service workloads, I can see that my service that had the high latency, it's not having any trouble with success codes. So I've got one service, V1, that has high latency but also low error rate, and V2 has high error rate but low latency. So it sounds like I've got some more work for my developers to do in tuning this app up. So in just 15 minutes, we've gone from having trouble with the service mesh. We've installed Istio to help get a handle on what services we own. We've identified the source of problems in the service mesh, mitigated the problems, and been able to test a potential rollout to see if it solved those problems. But that's really only just scratching the surface of what Istio can do for you when it comes to telemetry, traffic routing, and security for your service mesh. I encourage you to join us at istio.io to understand what you can do more and to share your own Istio journey. Thanks for watching.